That first day of school is August 15th for the Dayton Public School District, and that is when students are going to be packing their bags and getting ready to walk through their school doors. Now, the district has made sure that those doors are going to be open on the first day, but it's going to cost them a lot of money. Take a look at this. This is part of that house that actually exploded here earlier tonight. And what's going on here behind me, as you can see, there are two bulldozers taking away some of that debris, moving it so they can try and figure out exactly what caused the gas explosion tonight. As you can see, I'm still angled to the side here because that wind coming in from the west is blowing all that snow and ice across my face. As I move out of the way, you can see all of that snow and ice blowing across the road there. That's exactly where DP&L crews are working to get that power pole back upright, and they've been working there all afternoon. You can't see very well in the dark, but they do have that power pole secured, and we are standing at a safe distance. As you can see here behind me, it is still a very active scene. I'm going to step out of the way so my photographer can zoom in. Crime scene tape blocking off Lorenz Avenue here, and more crime scene tape surrounding a home several houses down. Now, earlier tonight, we know that a woman was shot in the head and was taken away in critical condition. However, homicide detectives have been called to the scene now. I'm standing right at the edge of the water here on Lower Valley Pike that has flooded the street. If I step out of the way, you can see that water that has flooded the area. And if my photographer zooms in, I would say about a quarter of a mile way down, you can see a black truck down there stuck in the water. Its lights are flashing on and off. That is where the two people were rescued today. This is all of the paperwork that was filed in that lawsuit, close to 80 pages that our team has been going through tonight. Now, the district is doing their best to get Dunbar players back in the game, and when I read through this paperwork, I learned that district officials are claiming there is video evidence that that player, identified as John Doe here, was never involved in that altercation. We were right down the hall here inside the Marriott earlier this afternoon as we watched about 1,000 teachers walk through these doors to cast their votes for that new contract. Breaking news this morning, a U.S. Marine Corps helicopter goes down off the coast of Australia, prompting a search and rescue mission. The military has confirmed one of its MV-22 aircrafts was involved in a mishap. The aircraft was in Queensland as part of the Talisman Sabre joint training exercise between Australian and United States military forces, but details are scarce. Bullet holes riddle the side of a Dayton home, and now police are trying to find out who is responsible. Officers were called to the 2900 block of Luella Avenue last night after a woman said her house was hit by gunfire. She told officers she heard about 20 shots and glass breaking downstairs. When police arrived, they found multiple bullet holes in the walls and a gun inside, but the woman says it isn't hers. A Tip City family says a puppy they bought at a Dayton Petland has one of the worst cases of hip dysplasia their vet has ever seen. Courtney Miller is frustrated. She says the store and its breeders sold her an injured dog. She claims workers told her Thor was healthy, but she noticed right away he had major hip problems. Well, Lillian Gray tells me she loves being a Girl Scout, but she wants to learn more about outdoor activities like how to make a fire, how to camp outside, and basically how to survive in the wilderness. So when her dad suggested she join the Cub Scouts, she agreed. Yay! For her first task as Cub Scout, 10-year-old Lillian Gray is volunteering with a couple hundred other people. They're filling plastic bags with food for needy kids in the Lebanon School District. The monthly event helps feed 350 hungry mouths for 7 months out of the year. Lillian jumps right in, proudly showing off her Boy Scouts of America uniform.
Well, it was really my dad who brought it up. He said, do you want to join Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts because they're opening? And I was like, sure.
Her dad is an Eagle Scout. Proud his daughter will be the first Warren County girl Cub Scout.
The Boy Scouts is such an excellent program, that the leadership training that it provides and the experiences that you get in the outdoors, that I just wanted her to be able to experience all of that as well.
Boy Scouts of America made the decision back in October to start including girls, but early registration didn't open until this January. So Lillian can now be a Boy Scout and a Girl Scout.
This was never possible. There's never been an Eagle Scout girl that I know of. And I think this is a very big leap.
Lillian tells me she wants to be the first girl to receive the top award for both the Girl and Boy Scouts. But for right now, she mostly wants her other Girl Scout friends to jump in too.
You shouldn't really be scared to join. You should just do it.
If you want to get your child involved in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, or if you saw the event for Lifehouse's backpack program and you wanted to get your family involved in that program, we have all of that information online at WHIO.com. Reporting in Dayton, Caroline Reinwald, News Center 7. Dayton firefighters tell me it's next to impossible to tell how thick the ice is out here. In some places it can be very thick, in other places it can be very thin. Actually, what you can see behind me here, these ice fishermen out there on Eastwood Lake with their dog, that's exactly what fire crews are telling people not to do right now, because these are the types of conditions where it's more likely for someone to fall through the ice. It's not often you see someone willingly crawl through the slush and ice, then jump into the freezing water. But these Dayton firefighters do it every winter.
We wear special ice suits that are designed for this, that will keep them it'll keep them safe in this type of environment. They will float in the water. Again, they're made specifically for ice rescue.
Each rescue requires a different approach, so these firefighters are training for any scenario.
It gives us a lot of versatility, so depending on which crews show up and when they show up, and depending on the number of victims that we have in the ice and the ice conditions themselves, it gives us a lot of versatility and a lot of options as to how to effect a rescue.
It can be fun sliding on the ice. These are also the best conditions for ice rescue training.
As the ice starts to form and as the ice starts to thaw, that's when it's not as thick. Last week, with it being as cold as it was, number one, the wind chill factor creates a hazard for our guys. They'd come out, they would do it, but we would beat our guys down doing it like that, and it's just more conducive and more realistic to do it in conditions like this.
They'll work for hours, pulling each other to safety, making sure they're ready for anything that might happen. Still 2 more days of training left for these Dayton firefighters. They'll be here again tomorrow and Wednesday this week from 2 to 5 at Eastwood Metro Park. Reporting live in Dayton, Caroline Reinwald, News Center 7. This is a pretty unique case. It's not every day that you see a judge step out from behind the bench and actually go to the scene that he's making a ruling on. We were the only ones with our cameras rolling as that judge toured inside these apartments at the Newcomb building behind me. With that boiler off, the carbon monoxide problem has been fixed, but the question in Judge Skelton's mind tonight was if the people living inside could survive without a main heat source.
Thank you, sir.
We followed Judge Richard Skelton inside the Newcomb building Tuesday as he checked individual apartments.
I kind of feel coming someplace and seeing something and seeing what you have really gives me more information than any lawyer standing up in a courtroom can tell me.
As the building owner delivered portable infrared heaters to residents, Judge Skelton and city inspectors checked out the first unit.
60, 65? Right.
The man living inside said he was okay, using the heat from cooking food on his stovetop to help stay warm. We heard a similar case from a man we caught walking home from getting groceries.
I don't feel unsafe. I'm out of the cold. As long as I'm out of the cold, the space heater, it goes on. It's on a timer, so, it's better than being in the street.
Many of the people inside have lived in this building for years with nowhere else to go. They're pleased with Judge Skelton's temporary restraining order, allowing them to stay.
We should be able to have our own choice if we want to stay or leave.
As Judge Skelton tours the second unit, the woman inside had her portable heater delivered, but inspectors find she has no working fire alarm. She says it's looked like this for months. They resolved to come back Wednesday and install one for her. At the end of the night, Judge Skelton told me, in his opinion, while the heat does need to be fixed, residents here are in no immediate danger.
It's an old building. They don't make buildings like they make these buildings. The walls are this thick. They retain heat. They're small units. So in my opinion, there is sufficient heat here.
Now, Judge Skelton agreed with me, had it not been for the owner of this building showing up in court today, those residents inside would have been out on the street. But he says that's because the city was trying to protect them from that carbon monoxide poisoning. He also says this boiler issue is not an overnight fix. That's why he's giving the owner a little bit more time to have the problem resolved. Reporting live in downtown Dayton, Caroline Reinwald, News Center 7. All of the parties involved say they were not even planning on being at El Toro restaurant in Bellbrook Monday night when this happened, but they are happy they were now. The parents tell me that they know perfectly well how to perform CPR on their children, but this is really one of those instances where they needed an expert there to help them out.
They say your life changes when your first daughter is born. But Nicole and Michael Terrell both agree their lives changed forever when their first daughter stopped breathing.
She was gone. I mean, if I'm being honest, and she was gone.
Their daughter, Isla, was born 8 weeks premature and had feeding issues. Her mother had only been breastfeeding her for a couple of minutes before Isla started turning blue.
She handed her to me, and that was the scariest moment of my life, is looking at her and remembering what she looked like in that moment where, you know, her color was different. She wasn't responding. Her eyes were rolled back, and like you knew, it was bad.
Because, I mean, in that moment I froze, and when I looked at her, I knew this is more than just one of her episodes that she had previously had.
Hi, how are you?
Thankfully, help was nearby.
And I heard someone yell, "Does anyone know CPR?"
2 nurses immediately put Isla flat on the table and began saving her life.
And they were real quick. When they got to me, it was very quick. There wasn't a lot of fumbling around.
I knew that it was up to me and up to Mary that we were going to stay focused, so we were communicating the whole time.
And after 4 or 5 cycles of CPR, Isla started breathing.
I was like, okay.
Now, Isla is back in the Dayton Children's NICU. And her parents love hearing her cries.
Now it's a reassuring sound. It's a safe sound for me. It's like, okay, she's breathing.
Plus, she now has a lifelong friend safely watching over her.
Yes, I think I will better be invited to the first birthday party. I better be going to her wedding and her graduation first, her graduation.
Now, doctors in the Dayton Children's NICU are trying to figure out what kind of a medical issue Isla has that causes her to lose consciousness. They say it has nothing to do with her parents, and they are running tests on her right now to figure out what that issue is, but it is likely she's going to be here for quite some time. Live in Dayton, Caroline Reinwald, News Center 7.